A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Midweek Politics live on Miller 98.3 FM. I want to believe your week has been good so far. It's Wednesday, and then today is the 5th day of the month of March 2025. And I want to also, believe that your day has started well, depending on what part of Lagos you stay. It's been a bit of sun, maybe some form of brightness, and maybe this is another opportunity to also remind you that you've got to do everything within your control to keep yourself absolutely hydrated. Make sure that you take a lot of fluid. This is not the time to do too much alcohol. By the way, maybe it's going to be some downward sales for alcohol companies this time around, because the Lent and the Ramadan, actually coming up at the same time. The Ramadan started the 1st of March, the holy month of Ramadan, and then today is Ash Wednesday. It ushers us into the month of Lent for the Christian faithfuls, and of course the Ramadan for our Muslim faithfuls also started a few days ago. So it's always the very perfect time to get some sober reflection, get your moods on, get your energies up, do the best you can to always make sure that you hope for the best, you pray for the best. More importantly, you also put Nigeria in your prayers as we constantly take it rightful place on the League of Nations. And that would not be, it's about potential, it's about possibility of how big this nation can be. Then you can't take anything away from Nigeria, with a country that is 6th largest most populated country in the world, the largest black nation, the most populated black nation in the world, the largest democracy in Africa, one of the largest in the world, and by all standard, maybe the most blessed nation in the world in terms of natural resources. We've got all of these at our disposal. So you always wonder, why should we be in this situation? Is it about the choice of leadership that we've made, or is a manifestation of the kind of followership that we've been able to build over time? Or perhaps it's a simple video on my friend's status. It's a video of people scooping fuel, and I just told myself that despite all of the social awareness messages being put out by media houses, and it's not just Miller 98.3 FM alone, even TV stations and other radio stations, and then you still see that for every single time. I hope we understand that you don't have to commit suicide because you want to stay alive. Well, and that sounds like an irony, right? Exactly. That's what most people do, because I understand, and I can't even understand it sincerely, why you would want to go scoop fuel, and then you see, you run there to go pack fuel, whether it is diesel or it is PMS or it is Kero, whatever it is that you're picking. You know very well that the tiniest spark would lead to unimaginable loss of life. In Niger State, in Jigawa State last year, Niger State this year, there's poverty in the land. No, the government is not doing this. There's poverty in the land, and then somebody sees, said, I won't stay cold. But because they understand that they have to stay alive, they have to be positive. So you're almost, committing to be a car driving past, and there's a spark in the exhaust. It could be somebody somewhere. The one that happened in Mina, it was not smoke. It was the generator they were using to transfer the fuel from one tanker to the other. And it could even be phone radiation. It's as simple as that. So we'll continue to send the message. I will continue to educate the people on the risk and the danger involved in scooping fuel. But like one of my colleagues said in the office, that even if you use all the languages in Nigeria, you interpret it in all the over 500 tribes that we have in Nigeria, even if you imprint it on the currency that we are spending, some people will still not hear. Well, like the Bible says, who has here, let him hear. Welcome to Midweek Politics live on Miller 98.3 FM. Wow, there's so much to talk about on the show today. We have an audio for you, and it is coming from the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, sending a petition against the person of the distinguished senator, of course, president of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. The man with 9 lives, according to what they call Right Honorable Basa, is now in charge in Lagos as the Speaker of the Lagos House of Assembly. And a lot of people were saying on Monday that, he would resign. This one. Today is Wednesday, by the way, and he's there to resign according to those permutations that was brought up. But he was as he took the oath of office for the second time as the speaker after the immediate past speaker, deputy speaker. Well, we'll talk about all of that also on the show today. I don't get to run this alone. Side Fuad is here. Victor Achibong is also very deep of, name it. Away from your regular conversation you get to read on your newspaper, we scratch beyond the surface on this show. It's more like investigative journalism on radio, because we give you all of the elements of the stories better than you can find it anywhere else. You're welcome to Miller 98.3 FM. My name is Okoyemi. 1 hour 50 minutes. Yes, we're going to be doing this together. Victor, you look good, by the way. There's a touch of I'm not permitted to name the brand on you're wearing. Is oozing a typical rich Hausa man. These cars are quite expensive, by the way. Am I supposed to say Happy Hajj Wednesday or Happy Ramadan? Which one am I supposed to say to you, Victor?
I really don't know where you're taking.
No, you're wearing my kind of cap now, my Kano people's kind of cap.
I'm a typical Nigerian.
Okay.
So I just want to dress the way I feel like I should bad yourself. Sometimes I admire the way you come, even when you're looking so dapper, and you decide to just look very cool. All the same, you're looking good. My name is Victor Achibong, and like I rightly said, we're going to be doing this and so much to talk about. Yesterday, I went into town, and reason being that dropped now. Dangote brought it down first to 860. And after some few days, and then when the price of fuel goes up, everything goes up. But when the price of fuel comes down, well, I asked questions as regards some foodstuffs that people normally buy. For what I understand here is when it comes to, let me use our local parlance, what they call vegetable away. The price of vegetables have come down. Bread has not come down. 5 before. It is now 2,000 naira. I'm saying all of this because ordinarily, it is believed that when the price of fuel comes down, everything is supposed to come down as well. You said something about people who are so gutsome when it comes to scooping fuel from falling tankers. Truth be told, there is this mindset that Nigerians or some people have today, and which is, let me say it again in local parlance, or die na die. People don't care anymore because there's this survival instinct that they've put up just to make sure that for that particular moment. So it goes to show that people are living for the moment. They don't care of tomorrow. They don't care of the future. And they don't even care of the loved ones that they're going to be leaving behind. If anything, eventually happens. We only pray and hope that at the end of the day, people will begin to see the need to love life. Love yourself. Ironically, you said it. You don't want to commit suicide to stay alive. But love your life first, so even instead of thinking of committing suicide. Why people have this ability to be able to manage situation and come out of it strong, it's not because they are better off or they think harder or they do better. It's just a decision not to go the extreme. It's just a decision not to do anything that will endanger your life, and at the end of the day put your loved ones at arm's length or in a position where they become beggars out there. So for everyone that is always thinking that, hey, all die and I die, change that mindset. Is very, very wrong.
Before we bring inside forward on the show today on the issue of price, it's I don't know if it's a Nigerian thing, but it looks like it's age. If it goes up, it never comes down. And I understand that the price of fuel is also coming down. I think on Sunday the fuel station close to my place, I wanted to get fuel and they told me it was 9. Okay, this is old stock. But if it is increment, you implement it immediately. But if it is decrease in price, it is old stock. So on my way home yesterday, I said stop and I get fuel because I didn't get it on Sunday. I was very angry. Why would I buy fuel at 9:30 when it's already 8:60? So when I got there yesterday, and I was surprised that they brought it down to 863 naira. I said, okay, we're making steady progress. Perhaps maybe the competition is healthy. And somebody said earlier today that if there's no competition between both of them by now, that's between Dangote and NNPC, we'll probably be buying fuel at 1,500 naira per liter now. So let them continue to compete. Let them continue to, and I'm even loving the banter on their media campaigns. It's really interesting. NNPC is releasing today.
So long as the price is going down,
I don't care.
Nigerians don't mind. Even if somebody wakes up tomorrow and says, "Okay, I'm going to monopolize this market," bring the price down. Nigerians will be better.
Unfortunately, this is
all we're just saying is, because we know there are other people who have one or two advantage when it comes to access to commodities and price. please be fair to Nigerians,
especially the road transport operators. I don't know, maybe this is when we need to ask what NURTW actually does, because when fuel was 1,002, everything went up, and then the price of transport, public transport, has still not come down. At the cost of e-cabbies, I can't mention their names here,
yes,
they're still charging at unimaginable prices. So if the prices are coming down, I think this is where the government, the government would always play their part.
When they reintroduced tolls on federal roads, especially the ones at the along the six regions in Nigeria, NURT. But then, this is something that we think that, just like you asked the question, this is something they should come up and say, okay, look, the price of fuel has reduced. I mean, be considerate to Nigerians. People wake up early in the morning and you see them by the junctions at the roadside struggling to get into buses. If we can have one voice as people, I doubt it, but if we can have one voice as people, it will be great. It will be really great. Well, I think it will be time for us to bring Said forward on board, because he's been here just listening to all the conversation, and I'm pretty sure that he's not looking bad as well.
Wednesday, and it's a good day to be alive. Last week, on Monday, it was the interview of the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, and on Friday it was the interview of the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District. And today, on the floor of the Senate, she officially submitted a petition against the person of the Senate president. She was accompanied by her husband, and I watched the interview of one of the spokesperson of the Bakassi Peninsula, and that's Florence Itagiwa, and I listened to her statement, and aside for that, I just have to tell myself that sometimes wisdom is not wrapped in affluence. I mean, these are two parallel things. You may be very, very influential, you may have all of the resources in the world, but you may not be exactly as wise as people assume that you actually are. Maybe you need to go back that you can't be. I don't want to get involved in that. It's right in some level of Ramadan, and
Ramadan,
it's a good time. It's a moment of sober reflection, absolute reflection, and let me digress a little bit. Katsina, Kebbi, Kano, Bauchi have decided to close down school for 5 weeks. We had that conversation in this vision yesterday, and then what I'll take on that. Let's start the show from that point to decide forward.
All right, thank you so much, Victor. Thank you, Okoyemi, for having me again. A beautiful Wednesday to discuss national issues, talk about nation building, and I like the fact that we're looking at issues that concerns the people. Apart from all of this of food
Victor
stuff.
is a family man, so he's concerned.
Yeah,
Come to 120.
No, it's impressive, really, to see a man who, I'm sure it's not the journalism in him that took him.
That's the control the thing you touch.
Even these days, when you go to the mall, you know what you just do? You carry the old money and put in a hand.
So this is the limit.
Not that this is the limit. You will know how to spend it yourself. If it is with me, I know I want to go overboard, but it is with you. Whatever you bring back, we are good to
go. No, but it was nice to hear that. Look, some food stuff have had prices drop marginally. Some are still way up there. I'm sure you also have to look at seasonal considerations.
Exactly.
And then but generally things are still very, very expensive. Once in a while, my wife also tries to set me up, and setting you up is sorry, Tibi, you are passing through this place. Please let me
buy
just
like
buy
10 tubers of yam,
or just let me buy 2 kilos of frozen chicken.
So
when you are coming up. And why they do that?
It's a big setup.
So it's just to let you know that your money will they drop.
You
say how much you are buying. But I think we also have to give a lot of kudos to our women, our wives, who have been able to hold the home front intact. I must say that must have been some level of resilience and support that they are giving to men who are also doing everything possible to put food on the table for Nigerians at these very, very tough times. So, but again, on the some of the northern states shutting down schools because of Ramadan, for me, I say the way it is, it's nonsensical. There's nothing reasonable about it. And religion is the opium of the masses. these guys do. There was a time, for example, in Saudi Arabia, a lot of people may never know until bin Salman, the heir apparent to the throne, came out with a lot of reforms. And if you look at what has happened in Saudi Arabia, you have seen a lot of reforms because of the decision of that young man that, look, we can't continue to do the whole thing. So in most conservative Islamic societies, the religion itself is not conservative. The religion is extremely progressive. The religion itself is scientific. It's a way of life. It's progressive. It accommodates both Western and traditional education. It depends on how you want to practice the religion, but the tenets are clear. The 5 pillars are clear, and it's a religion that conforms to modernity. But you have people who deliberately do these things, and I'll tell you why. A lot of times in those societies, there is a collaboration, some form of conspiracy against the people. So you have the political class telling the religious leaders, you take and do religion. We, the politicians, who are in charge of the people's money. So why you are helping us to use religion to distract them so that they don't focus on us? We will also ensure that we give you all the powers to do whatever you want to do. So that's why you see, for example, they will quickly be happy to say, oh, we're giving you Sharia. Oh, Isba. Whereas, if you go and see the children of these guys who impose some of these rules on their own people,
they're not conservative in any way.
You see the weddings they do, you see
the cars they
drive. I'll tell you something. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I was in Dubai, and you know, Friday is like their holiday, official holiday. I think it's Friday, Saturday. Monday is the first day of the week in Dubai. So, but Friday, everybody, even in fact, it is Friday that Christians in Dubai hold their religious service. You know, so it's there, and it was a church. I think it was a celestial church. Yes, right there in Dubai, in a place called Sharjah, another city called Sharjah. So, but what they do is that, look, there's no noise. They don't allow any kind of noise. So you can have your church service, but it must be in an enclosed, you know, without any noise coming out. Even their mosques too. You hear the adhan, the call to prayer, but it's in a very low. There's nobody's disturbing anybody, and there are so many mosques. About 500 meters, you see another mosque and all that, but nobody disturbs anybody. So I was not engaging. I was having a conversation with one of the locals, and he says that that look, a lot of the guys from Saudi Arabia, from Jeddah, from cities in Saudi Arabia, come in on Friday evening to enjoy themselves in Dubai. That was when, you know, we leave the conservative, the religious,
and go to the cosmopolitan and chill.
And then come to Dubai and party and enjoy themselves. It's not because these guys are really dedicated to the religion. It's not because, oh, they so much believe in the religion in the first place. But it's an easier way of distracting the people. You know, that's why you still see people in a part of the country today that are ready to stone somebody to death because of alleged person that exists in a society that is happy to throw stone at another person and kill her because of alleged blasphemy. Will tolerate the politician stealing their money. Clearly, without any, you know, politicians are there having EFCC cases, you know, stealing money, nothing is changing. They are
and they'll steal money and still come and give them as largesse.
So you have a society where billions every month go into those societies, yet the schools are still in poor conditions, the hospitals are still in poor conditions, infrastructure is bad. But you know the interest of the people of that same society that are supposed to hold their leaders to account. It is the person that insulted the prophet. Whereas a lot of those things, you know that, look, is because of how these guys have weaponized illiteracy, they weaponize poverty. So what they do is to conspire with the religious class to get these people distracted. So they can't ask the critical. They don't even understand what a functional society is. Okay, they've not seen it before. They don't even understand it. So in the midst of that poverty, lack of education and exposure, they just use religion to cover their face.
You know, Victor, sorry, let me hold your thought. Side forward. I mean, it's a bit deeper than how a lot of people are interpreting some of these things. And this is a perspective you brought to it. I've not traveled to some, probably so many religious countries. I've never been to Dubai, I've never been to Saudi Arabia, I've never been to those places. But I've been to functional societies where religion take the back seat. Development is at the forefront. Now, there are 18.4 million out-of-school children in Nigeria. Out of those 18.4 million, 64.7% of them are from Kebbi, Bauchi, Kano, Katsina, and Sokoto. 64% of the 18.4 million. Now, let me break it down further to you. Out of those 18.4 million, 6.7 million of them went to basic school. They stopped. 2 of them stopped. Now, let me tell you the worst part. 1 out of every 5 out-of-school child in the world is a Nigerian. And out of those 18.4 million, about 11.3 of them are coming from the northern region alone, northern region of 19 states. So out of this issue, lure the children to come to school. In the 2025 appropriation budget of Nigeria, over 100 billion was earmarked by the government to encourage children literacy in the 19 northern states. With all of these together side forward, in the push and now let me drop this for everyone listening. This is not to castigate any region. This is not to backlag any it's a nation building conversation. We're having a conversation, a fact-filled conversation. Go and check all of this stats. It's in public space. Side forward, this is the same state or the same set of states where they are shutting down schools for 5 weeks. And let me break it down for you. According to the rules of Islam, the 8 people exempted from fasting is very clear. First, the sick people. 2, the travelers. And if you are traveling, you have to exceed only 77 kilometers, because it is expected that traveling is a rigorous thing, and because of maybe you are traveling with people, you cannot risk the life of other people, so expected to be exempted from it. The people menstruating and the women that are breastfeeding, and also pregnant women, those with mental illness, those that are engaged in hard labor, and children. It is said that banks, inland revenue services, that's tax collectors, are functioning in this school, in these states. The banks are functioning. The civil servants are going to work side forward. Why school?
I've told you, okay, I did almost like a philosophical analysis of why these things are happening, and that was why I decided to go that route. The reality is, one of the easiest ways to capture people, to distract people, to make them not understand that they are in some form of bondage, is to throw religious bigotry at them. So they begin to chase it. You see, the funny thing is that, look, if you go into some of the
almost 100% Islam.
I've been to Turkey.
Turkey has 3 universities in the top 700 in the world.
If you see Turkish universities,
3
government, I'm not talking of private universities, I'm talking of government-owned universities. And so you see, it's unfortunate, really, that we have found ourselves in this situation. And you see some of the policies from this part of the country. For example, I don't know whether things have changed, but about a year or 2 ago, it's still the same situation from some of the core members that spoke with me about what is happening when it comes to the teaching force in the northern part of the country. Okay, I can tell you for free that in most part of northern Nigeria, about 60% of the teaching force in their schools are core members. If they scrap, okay, NYSC today, they no longer exist. There's going to be crisis.
I served in the north, so I know what you're saying.
You should know what I'm saying. If not for NYSC, it's not that they are not even ready to employ.
They are vice principals.
Look, let me.
As a mass com graduate,
in fact, I can never forget my principal at that time.
Mass com.
Yeah, that was what he said.
It's collabo.
Mr. Galadima was the principal then. So when I told him that, I told him, mass teacher now. And the few teachers that were available in that secondary school, do you know the courses they?
Adult education.
Some very funny. So if you go to their science school, there was in that same community, there's this secondary school that was a science school. If not for the core members who studied chemistry, biochemistry, You know, they were the ones helping the students. And at the end of the day, some of the students came out with very good results because of the effort of the core members. There were no teachers. It wasn't as if they were not ready to employ. There were even no teachers qualified enough to be employed in most of these schools. So and later, these are the same people that will complain that people are joining Boko Haram, because at the end of the day, if you don't educate these guys, you think that, look, by keeping them out of education, by impoverishing them, oh, man that has not been properly empowered to live a good life, they are happy to marry for them. They do mass weddings for them.
Mass weddings.
Buy bed, buy mattresses.
That's another form of empowerment.
Empowerment
Give
to continue
them
to
cobbler kits.
you know, so and I tell you this, you see, it's unfortunate because you see how people are going to rationalize it. I've told a lot of people, Islam is not a religion that is backward. Islam is a religion that accepts science, that accepts modernity. It's a way of life. The guiding principles are clear and kill poverty in the land. It is Islam. It encourages you to work. Islam does not even encourage you to be a beggar. In fact, it's even the worst level of poverty because it frowns at it. But if you now get to the point where you cannot take care of your immediate needs, like feeding yourself, then you are permitted to go and beg. But there's a rule, there's a guiding rule to it. Once you see that thing that can make you feed yourself for that moment,
That's all. And this one can feed
you for that period until
back.
when you now sort yourself getting something to do, please go and get a job to do. So where did this idea of people begging turn into a profession, the alimajiri thing, these are crazy things that you can never ever.
Very well. You understand what I'm talking about. That's, a local government that has virtually everyone in Nigeria. And we had so many Northerners. There's a place called Hausa Line. Yes, dominated by the Northerners. You need to see how intelligent these guys are. I had the Muhammad, the Balaribe, the Shuaibu, Yakubu, and I can tell you these guys are occupying, top public office positions as we speak, and they are very, very intelligent. But it's so unfortunate and heartbreaking that when you hear all of these things, you begin to wonder what happens to that zest, that zeal to want to pursue academics education. I mean, going to the point of closing down schools, I think is the height of it for me, because you're depriving these children of good education. If the government is thinking of improving the lifestyle of people, improving the education of people, and then you are doing certain things that deprives them of education, you're more or less telling them that you don't deserve
and look
life.
at even Muric. I'm surprised that Professor Ishaq's position on the matter. You've had Khan and other Christian associations come to challenge this. Why do you have to close down the schools?
And Murik went.
And he said, oh, they are meddlesome interlopers, blah, blah, blah.
And Ramadan is an Islamic thing.
And that, look, in most of these states,
Education
Muslims,
is a global thing.
that Muslims dominate. And I said, look, if Muslims dominate these states, what about the rights of the minority in the states?
Who are not Muslims.
Who are not Muslims. So, is it... Islam encourages equity, fairness, and justice.
Balance.
So where is equity, fairness, and justice when you have to close the schools against non-Muslims who will not be fasting with you? Even though it's ridiculous to close school because of fasting. There's no way in the books that they said they shut down the school. All religious activities that happens during the Ramadan period can be infused into the curriculum of the school.
During the military,
Yes.
what the military does was to reduce closing time.
So that people can go, maybe
early,
help their
so
children
schools
to
were
prepare for
closed.
iftar.
And that was the military. Now
Yes.
we're in a democracy where Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution has amended Section 18 of it, and Section 15 of the Child Right Act clearly explains the right of a child to quality education and must be provided by the government. It's the same set of government that are hiding under the torch of religion to close down academic operation for 5 straight weeks. I watched the state, so everybody knows, and why are people crying more than the bereaved? That is what a commissioner.
Look, what I'm saying is that if the larger majority of these societies who are Muslims want it, what about the Christians within those communities?
They said they don't complain.
They don't complain. You know, again, so that we can move to other things. I've told you it's a deliberate quality education to expose people to functional societies, how functional societies work. Because religion does not mean you cannot exist in a functional society.
Sure.
There are extremely religious societies.
Religious practices are part of a functional society.
You know, where things work.
Tolerance is part of a functional
you know,
society.
so, but again, I've told you, the idea is to distract the people from holding the government to account. You know, they will tell you, for example, in Kano, that mass wedding they do, that's part of their campaign promise. If people want it, they will tell you.
Side forward, when Governor Omar was campaigning,
their campaign promise.
two things were top of his campaign. One, that is going to reinstate the suspended Emir of Kano, which he did. Secondly, that is going to conduct a mass wedding for people that have marriageable age but cannot afford to get married. And that was the first thing he did, even before they reinstalled the Emir of Kano.
Now, let me explain this. So let us be a bit logical. Yes, Islam encourages marriage. It doesn't even, encourage women to stay too. So once a girl gets to a marriageable age, find a suitor. Very, very important. Settle down. And start your life. Just start your life. So Islam
possibly even give them support.
You know, all of that. But the excuse they will tell you is that, because of the economic situation in the country, most of these guys are not able to afford what it takes to marry and all of that. So instead of going into mass wedding, for people to begin to give birth to children that they will not be able to take care of, why not create an enabling environment? Give these guys good education, give them some form of vocational training,
and empower them
then create an enabling environment for them to get themselves financially empowered to now marry by their own selves and take care of their family. Because at the end of the day,
if you marry for me,
and look at the optics, okay? I mean, look at the ridiculous optics. You are doing mass wedding, and what are the things we see on display?
Foam.
A bed, mattress.
It's a starter. It's a starter pack.
So after that one, what happens?
You will have settled down before the rice finishes.
For the mattress, other items will not last more than 1 month.
It's a starter pack now.
So after that 1 month, what happens?
Honeymoon over now.
So you now see those guys now giving birth to children who will end up in the streets. That's why their imaginary problem is big. And then before you know it, one Islamic scholar somewhere harvest them, and then when that one can no longer take care of them, it sends them back to the streets to go and support themselves. So they begin to, and at the end of the day, deeds in the name of religious extremism, we will now harvest them from the streets and taking and creating problems.
Well, that's recycling problems.
That's what we are doing.
It's a whole lot to swallow from that region.
May God help.
May God help us. Obasa is back as the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly side forward. We're going to do this real quick because we're going to be spending maybe some little time on the entire Natasha Akpoti-Ngozi conversation. But like I said, Obasa is back for good or for what side forward?
Well, strange times, maybe not too strange, but
if you're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, you need to see Side Forward's expression. Please go on Facebook and watch us live.
I call it political tomfoolery. Because or probably just call it political bubu yaya. That's what we've seen. Because again, but I'm not surprised. Anyways, we've seen worse things happen when it comes to the politics of Lagos. The ruling party in Lagos has this culture, and the culture is simple. It ends and starts on the desk of one man. Okay, forget about all the, there's a structure, there's GAC, now at least it's clear to all of them now that whatever power they think the GAC has is dependent on how powerful the president wants them to be. You understand what I'm saying? So, Obasa is back, and he's back not because the majority of his colleagues want him back, because that has been sorted out. These guys don't want him. And the way they stood behind the now deputy speaker, former speaker, deputy speaker, we're going to get confused with the whole thing. Shows that, look, Obasa does not and may not have the confidence of these people again. Because again, if 35, 36 out of 40 removed you, And they did not just remove you. They stood by their decisions, even till the last minute. Remember that before this, whatever political boo-boo that came up, that brought Obasa back, the court case on Friday, these lawmakers were all still there in solidarity with themselves.
They even gave a press conference.
And gave a press conference. Even when the House of Assembly was stormed by Obasa and as encouraged by the police.
They boycotted.
But they still stood together to say, look, this is a decision we've taken. We are only waiting on our leaders to explain what is going on. So Obasa's return again just speaks to the fact that, look, we're just joking with our democracy. In fact, we really don't have democracy. What we have is a uniquely different, ridiculous kind of government. There's always the issue of what? The majority. I've not seen anywhere in the democracy where the minority, the interest of the minority supersedes that of the majority. So if 36, 35 members, I think 35 or 36 now, I said that, look,
you're supposed to be majority carries the vote
in a democracy.
in a democracy.
But what we've seen here is that, look, there are people who are stronger, bigger than our institutions. I saw how emotional these lawmakers were. You know, because it's a shame, really.
Even Senator Desmond Elliott.
Honorable Desmond Elliott, sorry. A big slap. A big slap.
Because one of the leaders of one of the person that spoke on behalf of the Governance Advisory Council talked about the fact that the House of Assembly members don't have absolute power to remove the speaker without the authority of GAC.
No, wait. Where, in what concern is that from? Where did they get that from?
In the position of GAC.
No, GAC is GAC not to the concern of the country, or
is GAC a recognized body?
It's an arrangement within their party. It's a party thing. If they have said that, look, in the party, the arrangement is that, look, they can't take any decision without informing GAC or their political leaders. I understand with them. Like I said, it's almost like a party affair. The only reason why we are talking about it is because, again, it involves the state of Lagos State.
Center of Excellence.
And the Lagos State House of Assembly. And these guys must understand that the state is not their personal property. The state also does not belong to the APC. They don't buy them. They are there because the people have given them the mandate to be there. And it's a temporary thing. Tomorrow the mandate can change. And that is why whatever they must do now, they must understand that they need to keep the sanctity of that institution, because leaders come, leaders go. The house will remain. And they will not be the first and the last to rule Lagos.
But the words on the streets,
yes.
The words on the street is always they own Lagos.
They don't own Lagos. They will never own it. It's a delusion. They will one day wake up to realize that they don't own the state.
Let me read this quote. And then this is coming from the chairman of Governance Advisory Council in Lagos, Prince Tajuddin Olusi. And it says that the council was not consulted before the removal of Honorable Mudashiru Obasa as Lagos Speaker. He was speaking on Friday, and he said the lawmakers did not consult the party nor the council. He said that the council should not be dragged into the leadership crisis that saw the removal of Obasa and the replacement of the Deputy Speaker, Mojisola Meranda. Now, let me quote this part. He said, we read it also that morning. The lawmakers carried out without the consultation of the party and those of us in GAC. That's our position. I blame them for one thing, and that is for not lodging the complaint earlier before the party. It is for the party to decide. The lawmakers have no absolute power to remove or install their leaders.
Okay. Now, again, they will talk about all of these party things that we know. These are just afterthoughts. We knew how all of these things happened. And I bet to disagree. I will continue to argue that there was no way, those lawmakers would have removed Obasa without the knowledge of the party leaders. What has happened is that, look, there's a superior power that eventually overruled their collective decision. So whatever they are saying, with all due respect, you remember that when these lawmakers removed Obasa,
the first point of call for Madam Speaker was the GAC.
And they received them.
Yes.
And they didn't complain at that time when they were coming.
She said that
he didn't tell us that.
GAC had given their blessing.
And we saw pictures. They received them.
Yes.
So why didn't they tell them that, who gave you the authority to go and remove this man? Or this entire drama, we cannot say on radio. But we know what we know. Because why they are deceiving themselves, putting out some of these statements, we've spoken with top party members who have given us the real situation of things, how all of these things panned out. Some of them top, even some assembly members who spoke with us, that look, in their life, they have never, that it came as a shock, a rude shock, how the whole thing changed. And what they have said is that it's just one human being, one just individual.
Just one.
That said, what are you guys doing? Go back and correct that. So the idea of sending an emissary from, okay, on what, look, if it's about progressive party politicking, if it's about democracy really, and party supremacy, on what basis did Chief Bisi Akande and Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, Oshoba, tell them to return Obasa? What's the big deal with removing the speaker? What is even the role of a speaker really? If not just be the presiding officer. That, look, amongst the assembly members there must be a leader. When Obasa was elected into the house, he wasn't elected as a speaker.
No.
He was first elected as
a member
of the house. So it was the collective responsibility of the members of the house to say, okay, there must be leaders, there must be presiding officers, and they chose him as their speaker. So if Obasa was removed the way it was removed by majority members of
the House of Assembly, and if it still stood that he had been removed, what would have been the problem? What crisis would have come out of that? What crisis would have come out of that? If the removers stood,
if the removers stood,
would the House of Assembly collapse?
Would the House collapse? Would Lagos State collapse? Would the governor be removed?
Would democracy cease in Lagos?
Because Obasa was removed. So what was that thing about Obasa that now necessitated the deployment of emissaries from Ogun and Osun to Lagos? And then we saw a situation where the police also came in, restored his security details, that gave him the power to go bump into that institution. Look, it's a desecration of that.
Desecration of the hallowed chamber.
Only
you and 4 members, sir. What's the difference between that one and Rivers?
I will still come in there. So that's what I'm saying. That look, the reason why we're talking about it is that look, it's not their personal affair. If it was Obasa and Miranda fighting on a personal note, it really concerns us. But we're talking about the state. We are talking about the position of speakership. And look at the ridiculous thing we have on our hands. And there are people who are justifying these things. Again, why some of us are not really showing too much pity for the assembly members is that look, at some point too, they've also benefited from this impunity.
Now let me read that part. And talking about the statement of the chairman of GAC. He says nobody can become a member of the House of Assembly unless sponsored by a political party, and the sponsors are the inspectors of the assembly. You don't own anything. The people that put you there can choose to remove you, the inspectors. Wow.
Well, anyways, let me just conclude by saying that it is what it is. What it shows is that Lagos is still in the hands of a few, or maybe an individual that has continued to control the political structure of the state. But what comes to mind is that one day will be one day. And the one day is that, look, it has shown that, look, what they have amongst themselves is almost at the peace of the graveyard. There's no real peace. There's no real loyalty. There's no real unity.
Moment of convenience.
They are just when you patching things happen that look, nobody's able to rein anybody in, nobody's able to call anybody to order. And that rallying point that they have, that is able to whip all of them back to line, to continue this forced marriage, to continue this caricature called democracy and party loyalty that they are throwing around. That rallying point is not available again to rally them. Victor, now here we go do by the grace of God. At that point, which were the people that were trying to build the house to reach God? And the easiest way to have an enduring political legacy is to allow for the rule of law and a functional institutions. So that when you are no more, whether you are there or not, the law takes care of the situation. But this one that we are killing the law, we are killing institutions, and individuals are determining the things that the law should determine. Okay, when those rallying points are no longer available, the law will not be able to save them. Let them continue to bastardize what we have as a democracy.
Do you for in any way, I'm coming please, but do you for in any way, kind of sense an undertone of 2027 here? Remember, before the June 13 saga, Obasa himself said that he was the only qualified, to be governor of Lagos State, to rule Lagos State, to lead Lagos State. Compared to the past and even the present, he is more qualified, and all of that. And when you look at all of the drama that happened during the presidential election in 2023, and what the Labour Party did in terms of giving that heavy blow to APC, if I put it that way. Well, the return of Obasa,
again,
like a 2027
for politicians, 2027 is always in the calculation. It's always, they will always think, even before 2023 election, there's already a calculation for 2027. In fact, as we are talking about
2031,
in fact, more than 2020, has any serious implication for 2027 in Lagos, that I cannot say. But of course, just understand that politicians already have permutations in their head, projections in their head of what can possibly happen. If for them, God is not ever in the conversation. It has started. I'm already seeing the son of the president, for example. He's been busy in the northern part of the country.
Yeah, sharing palliatives.
He's been in Kano.
That one passed palliative.
He was still with Sheikh
He was with Sheikh
yesterday.
He was in Kano.
Iftar with Kano.
Sheikh stays in Kaduna State.
Yes.
He's gone there. He's been moving around.
And the funny thing about the Iftar is that the son of the governor, that's the NNPP governor,
they were all
was
there. Yeah.
The son of the national chairman, Ganduje, was also there. And so at that level, nobody cares about
what we saw in Kano was a Sheikh Tinubu bringing NNPP and APC, PDP, everybody together, all dining and whining and enjoying themselves. So we tell people, continue to fight for politicians. Your eye go clear.
Let's take the second story, Victor, real quick, and I would also quickly talk about the old Senator Natasha. River State, 48 hours ends today.
It ends today. And we're not going to waste much time on that because we understand that for some time now, that particular conversation has been in the media space. But the ultimatum that was given by the reinstalled, if I put it that way, Speaker of the House, Martin Amaewhule, they gave the state hours to present the budgets for 2025 to them, and it ends today. The big question is, Fubara has not obeyed that call. He has not done what he was expected to do. But the big question is, what is next? Yes, there have been stories of impeachment, and we've seen where the Ijaw Youth Council and some other groups have come out to say that nothing must happen to their son. Nothing must happen to their governor, because the Ijaw people have sacrificed a lot when it comes to River State politics and democracy, starting from 1999 all the way down to dates. And for the first time that they seem to be sensing power, being in authority, they want to whisk this away. They mention names, of top prominent people who played pivotal roles in ensuring that even the FCT minister in the person of Nyesom Wike got into power through the assistance of patients, Jonathan. But as it looks now, it's like there is this music of impeachment that has been singing, even from the very moment that the Supreme Court passed that judgment, and then ordered the governor to go back and undo most of the mishaps, according to what they said that they did. Even bringing in local government chairman through another party, pull them down of what he has actually done. But this is a question of, if it doesn't present this budget to Martin Amaewhule and the other members, of the House, what will happen?
Well, there's a development on that particular story because the Secretary to the State Government of River State has written to the House as led by Martin Amaewhule. That in itself means that the Fubara-led government has now recognized.
Initially, they said they didn't receive a letter.
No, that's what they are even saying. That look, no, the fact that they have even written to them, because
that they've not recognized.
Yes, because the report is that look, the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Tami Danagogo, has maintained that the governor has yet to receive the letter saying the state government heard of the purported 48 hours ultimatum on social media. So this is the statement. It said, I hereby refer to a letter dated the 3rd of March 2025 on the above subject, which we came across on social media, and notify you that as at the close of work on Tuesday, the 4th of March 2025, we are yet to receive the said letter. Neither the office of the governor, nor the deputy governor's office, nor the office of the accountant general of the state has received the said letter. So so basically the term you gave did not come as an official correspondence to the office of the governor, deputy governor, or that of the office of the accountant general. So because of that, that 48 hours cannot stand because we've not received.
But these guys are going on 12-week recess on Thursday tomorrow.
Okay, now this is of course they can call off their recess to reconvene, because again, if you say present the budget and you've gone on recess for 12 weeks, how then do you deliberate on the budget of the state? So again, you have the Fubara camp saying, they need to study the CTA, the certified true copy, and that will take them like another 7 days.
For information was on the show.
I listened to him,
and he said they are still waiting for the certified true copy of the judgment. But the governor gave a state broadcast on Sunday on the same judgment. They are still waiting for the certified true copy on Monday.
Well, the thing is this: I think whether anybody likes it or not, no matter how you may feel about that Supreme Court judgment in Rivers State, it's a judgment that comes with a lot of consequences for our democracy and the politics of Rivers State. I'm sure that the legal team of Fubara will be doing a lot of work with him, and not just his legal team, to look at the legal implications of some of these judgments. I'm sure his political team too would also be doing a lot of permutations, and I'm sure the permutations will be, if the power goes to these 27 lawmakers,
what is the fate of the governor?
What's the fate of how do you survive them? What are the other options left to you? He has said that there's still a court. There's still a court case at the federal to decide the fate of the 27 lawmakers.
Now, let me bring this tweet side forward. Yesterday, one of the lawyers to the APC, actually spoke on this issue of the legitimacy of their decamping or not. And I remember Honorable Joe Johnson, the Commissioner for Information, also said it in the station on Monday that they already swore to an affidavit that they've decamped.
They said the affidavit is there, it's available, that they've decamped.
The lawyer now said affidavit does not validate a decamping, that decamping has a constitutional process. First, you will write to the party that you are in at the moment to inform them that you are withdrawing your membership of that party. First, he said the members did not do that.
Okay.
He said that you will now inform the party that you are going into, and then they will validate your acceptance with a register and a party membership card. That they should go and check if those 26 people have been included in the APC membership registry in Rivers State.
You see, okay, now let me well, people can give different opinion. Again, it is the court that will eventually decide, because he is saying, this is what is constitutionally required for you to move from one party to another party. But you'll be surprised that you might go to court and they'll tell you that, look, the affidavit is enough.
It's valid. Affidavit is valid.
In fact, you might even get to the court, they will tell you that, look, once you even pronounce it.
If I misplace my document I get an affidavit and it's signed,
so we don't want to preempt the courts, because people will always come with different arguments. You understand what I'm saying? Because, again, we've seen judgments that comes in and you begin to wonder. There's still a case at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt on these 27 lawmakers and whether they've lost their seat or not. Whereas in the Supreme Court judgment of Okoyemi, there are lawyers who have said that, look, some of the ruling were even cases that were never brought before them. That some of the things, because
some of them were even pre-election matters.
So many things were touched on, the way the judgment came, the non-partisanship, the independence of the judiciary when it comes to political matters. But you know what? As Democrats, you have no choice. You still have to obey the Supreme Court, no matter how dissatisfied you are about the judgment. It is still that arm of government that you cannot disobey when it comes to decisions at the apex, the highest court in the land, which is the Supreme Court.
You have to implement it.
You have to find a way to implement it. So, like I said, I'm sure that the legal team of Fubara is political team, because I'm sure he has a boiling room of political experts. You know, they do a lot of permutations. I tell a lot of people.
Of
SAs and PAs and you know, so they have to, I'm sure his team have been meeting to see how to deal with what is on ground. Again, politically speaking, legally speaking, it's a big one for the Wike team. No matter how you try to paraphrase it, it's a very big one. The Supreme Court judgment, you know, and you could see that Wike reacted immediately.
Yeah, doing praise and worship.
They did praise and worship. He's already
They had a show of force on Saturday at the burial of the South APC Vice Chairman's mom.
And that is why you can see that on the other side too, there are people who are also saying that, look, any attempt to impeach the governor will lead to chaos and crisis in the state.
Have you seen Asari Dokubo's video?
I've been watching his videos, but you know, so at the end of the day, I don't think there's any group in the country that can win the state.
Sure.
I think they need to understand that. Yeah, we might have disruptions, we might have crises,
but the state is supreme.
The state is supreme. The power and might of the state will rein anybody in anytime, any day, unless the state is not really ready to go after troublemakers. And so I think that at the end of the day, we might be seeing, you know, this love-hate relationship existing. I don't know how they're going to manage it amongst themselves. But I also think that we might wake up one day and see these assembly members go after the governor, and we might see an impeachment proceeding being brought up against him. The problem is this, Okwemi. Unlike our assembly members can remove a speaker, removing a governor has very tough processes and procedure. You know what I'm saying? Again, you have to first raise a panel of inquiry. The Chief Justice of the state must get it. Can make an impeachment proceeding so easy against the governor. For this Martin Emmanuel people to go ahead and do it. Again, who is the chief law officer? He might decide not to appoint commissioners.
Just bringing consultants.
Because there's no law.
Yes.
There's no law that says he has to work with commissioners.
No.
And if there are no commissioners, there are things that will be extremely difficult for this Martin Emmanuel group to even do.
Yes.
So because again, we've also seen a situation where the Martin Emmanuel people have tried to clip his fingers. You know, before this whole thing got this bad, you know, they kept having resolution upon resolution, cutting the governor to size. You know, the attempt to also extend the
executive bill of Mr.
You know,
Governor.
they kept vetoing him almost 7 times. They vetoed him, and for every of those resolution, it was to weaken the power of the governor, make him more like a lame dog, and he had to fight back because he saw them that they were pushing him out of government. So at the end of the day, we've created monsters, we've created powerful men, we've created people who are bigger than institution, and like I said of the Lagos politics, Fubara too had also benefited from impunity in the past.
Absolutely.
So this is the
Wike came out to say APC candidate.
The PDP flag bearer.
Sorry, the PDP flag bearer.
With the number of big politicians that existed in the party. But these guys were subdued for Fubara to emerge.
About 9 people, you know, wanted to.
I doubt if there was any primaries. I can't remember. So without primaries, you understand that's another form of impunity.
Before the primary side forward, Wike was already campaigning everywhere.
I don't know whether it was his. I don't know whether it was his case where they bought all the forms.
Yes.
So when there's no form,
there was no form. The party did not print form.
So those were the impunities that also brought him into government. But again, like by Curtis said, you know, his analogy that if 2 people decide to rob a bank and then one of them decides that, look, no, I want to stand for the right thing, I want to stand for democracy, should we condemn him because he was a beneficiary of political impunity in the past?
Some would say he needs to be loyal
to who?
To whoever that gave
he now wants to be loyal to the state, not to a human being, because the constitution requires that as a governor he should be loyal to the state and the people who gave him the mandate.
Let me give you the back end story. We're really pressed for time. But last week, the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Senator Natasha Akpoti Udwaha, you know, gave a almost like a tell-it-all interview on national TV, where she alleged, I read the entire story, last week, and then where she alleged that the president of the Nigerian Senate, former governor of Aʀᴏ State, former Victor's state governor, has harassed her and also abused of office against her. I mean, those allegations were grave. She talked about the fact that, she went to visit the Senate president's residence,
with her
and
husband.
then the husband was walking behind making phone call, and then the Senate president held her hand and was taking her around the house, then showed her a big room and said, very soon you and I will come and have a good time in this room. There were a lot of talks. Also, where the company was stepped down 4 times, and then our colleague said, go and speak to the Senate president. And then she went to see the Senate president, and the Senate president said, according to her, allegedly, let me use the word of two-faced Dibia, allegedly, that I can make things easy for you if you make me happy. And then she said, oh, I will pretend like I didn't hear that. Then she stopped out of the meeting, meeting she had with. So she said all of those. Wow. Petition or no petition, the wife of the Senate president had defamation on the character of her husband. She has done that. But today, at the resumption of plenary, she assumed a new seat. So what really led to all of this drama is the fact that she was reassigned a seat
without a notice.
And what the standing rule of the House is, I read it, and I think I read it out on the show also, that the Senate president has the authority to assign seats to members. So the following give her seat because she wants to be visible to the camera. I remember, prior to all of this drama, there was a case of this is not a clubhouse. That statement that the president of the Senate made against the same senator. So there's been public back and forth between them. So when Senator Natasha gave this interview, a lot of people kept saying, oh, probably this is the reason why this has been happening. Officially today, she submitted a petition to the Senate that was presided over by the same man she's alleged to have abused her, harassed her. Wow. I keep using the word
accompanied by her husband.
Accompanied by her husband. And the president of the Senate said, oh, I don't harass women. I made this, I made that. But let's listen to Senator Natasha Akpoti. And of course, like I said, Senator Florence Itagiwa, they call her Mama Bakassi, gave an interview yesterday where she said, oh, it's weakness for you to come out and say you were abused. That if you have gotten to the place as a senator, then it's not easy to be a senator. You've gone through a whole lot, so you cannot come out as a senator to say you were sexually harassed. And I'm like, how do you milk Miller 98.3 FM? It's mean with politics. The side forward, there's Victor Achibong, and I'm here. In case of meeting me for the first time, I'm the co-host of the show, Oᴏᴜᴜ Akin. Stick around.
President, distinguished colleagues, Senator, who shall affix his or her name at the beginning thereof. Petition is in my name against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions. You may recall, sir, that on Friday in Arise TV, I did make some statements, and I have decided to narrow these statements in a formal petition against the President of this Senate. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition.
You may proceed. Distinguished colleagues, this petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Code of Conduct, Ethics, and Public Petitions to revert to the Senate as soon as practicable. Petition.
Okay, and earlier today as well, while the sitting was going on, a federal high court in Abuja sat and gave a judgment
Stopping the Senate.
or an injunction stopping the Senate from investigating. The Senate have the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges. So any erring senator, they always refer those issues to them. Then they will mail out the appropriate sanctions or punishment to such senator. So the court in Abuja, the federal court in Abuja, had issued that restriction that the senator, that's Senator Natasha Akpoti, must not be investigated by the Ethics and Privileges Committee of the Senate on this same matter. But guess this, the committee that the petition has been referred to, the same Ethics and Privileges Committee is the same committee that the Senate President said this petition has been referred to. Side forward, this is a defining moment in our democracy. A lot of people may think it's a joke, but God forbid that anything happens to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today or VP Kazim Shettima today, constitutionally, the president of Nigeria will be distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio as the number 3 man in the hierarchy in this country. And this is not the first time. Remember, she came out to say that she slapped Senator Akpabio for sexually harassing her. That matter died. There was also a time where somebody made reference to when he was still in the corporate world, some allegations as well. But if the interview that Senator Natasha Akpotsi gave were, according to what some people have said, oh, throw it away, she just been bitter. Do you think the acceptance of this whole issue is a reflection of the docility of Nigeria in looking at how our democracies can function? If such a man representing the entire Senate, the highest lawmaking organ in government, representative, side forward, we've seen issues like this before. We've seen the former senator from Adamawa that went to harass someone in a sex toy. That issue was also left and right. It was buried, and it all went on like that. Should we do the same to this one side forward?
Well, it's really confusing, really, because while Senator Natasha, accompanied by her husband, came into the Senate chambers today, he was written a petition against himself. Because you could see that the Senate president was presiding when that petition against him was presented by Senator Natasha, and he received it and referred that same petition to the Committee on Ethics. But before then, look, for now, there should not be any investigation against her, because before this petition was received,
was suspended.
No, she had not been suspended, but there had already been a committee that had been mandated to investigate the matter. And the feelers was that the committee was going to give a report that may likely lead to a suspension from the Senate. So I guess that was one.
She was moved. She was excused from the sitting on that day.
Yes. What I'm saying is that if you look at, you have two things now. Because of the back and forth, the shouting bout that happened the last time, that same matter had been referred to the Ethics Committee. So I'm sure the ruling of the court is on that particular one of that committee investigating what had happened, the shouting bouts between the Senate president and Natasha for refusing to leave her seat. So that committee has that instruction already to investigate that matter. And most likely they had known that the conclusion would be
indict her,
for her to be indicted and then suspended from the Senate. So that one has been altered now by that Federal High Court judgment. But while they are altering the committee from investigating that issue, a proper petition now
was submitted,
has now been submitted to the Senate and now referred to that same committee. So at the end of the day, these are needless distractions, extremely needless distractions, because when it comes to matters of nation building, I thought that there were bigger issues really for us to concentrate on. But you can see that in the last 1 or 2 weeks, we've been talking about Natasha Akpabio. In fact, today there were protests and counter-protests at the National Assembly.
Yes.
So some people came with placards saying Akpabio must go, respect women. They were tear gassed. Whereas some people also came to say Natasha must go, and that Natasha was a liar. So you had protests.
Even in Akwai State, the women there are protesting.
Now, the thing is that these protests that you see, how the banners come up so fast.
Who is printing it?
And
I don't understand.
I know.
What are you saying?
I love that question. How did it come out so fast?
I know. When you see the people holding these placards, these banners, you know that they have no idea of carry placards. I'm sure he does not even know why it's there. Somebody must have just hijacked him on the road.
Natasha is.
They concern her. She not go pay me. So
after we had bishops and
solution to this problem. I'm sure people. It's been messy. I never knew it was going to get to this level. Actually, I thought that on the day where we had this, shouting bout, the talk back, and all of that, that somehow, somewhere, somebody was going to reach out to the Senate president, reach out to Natasha and say, no, let's not just.
Then she gave that interview.
But when the interview that was what opened it up. And I'm like, was this an afterthought? Did she get the consent of her husband? Were there issues bigger than what we saw
on the floor.
Are there some underlying issues that they are not talking about? Gone together on this issue?
The interpretation here in this part of the world is you are innocent. Should Godswill Akpabio be presiding over his own case? He appoints the members of the Ethics and Privileges Committee on the floor of the House. Yes, that's his job to have permitted today to investigate the same man.
She's gone the assembly way.
But the court was not on the sexual harassment.
No, it was a case of defamation.
Defamation. Yes.
So don't be surprised that you could have his legal team amending the charges, adding it and all of that, whatever she wants to achieve. I'm sure she also have people who will be guiding her what to do on this particular case. I'm also sure that the Senate president, his experience, the former governor, the former minister, at his level as number 3 man, he also has lawyers who will be telling this is what to do. I'm sure there are also politicians who will be sitting with him to say, look, this is the best way to address this issue. I'm just surprised that people that were friends, family friends, we've seen a lot of pictures of them together.
Close friends.
With the husband. The wife of the Senate president also said, look, they are friends. We are all like family friends. So I'm surprised that they were not really able to make this like a family affair and just resolve it so that you don't have all of these dirty linens being washed in the public space. But as a deputy Senate president, he should step down from presiding over the Senate whenever this issue is brought up. It's not that he's not going to be the Senate president. But whenever this
assign Senator JᴏɪR Barrow
to take on this particular issue, so whenever the issue, if the committee is to submit their report, he should not be the one presiding over the issue. So that's why you have a deputy.
So he doesn't be a judge.
In his own case, you can't. So what if they indict him?
But you think he wouldn't have had an idea of what the committee?
What can we do? What then can we do about that? It's just what it is. But my mind tells me that somewhere somehow somebody is going to step in. A bigger authority, I think, will step in. You see, the political class,
they understand themselves.
Like the former governor of Ekiti was telling us, when they fight all of this fight, by the time they will now, but before we, of course, who have made their opinions known on this issue that has gotten a lot of us thinking about their thinking faculty. And with all due respect, the position of Senator
Florence
Itagiwa, to say the least, is shameful. Opemi, if as a father you have a daughter today with this, one of the things you want to encourage your daughter to be able to do is to speak out. You don't even want your daughter to be found to be able to come out and say, look, I've been faced with this kind of challenge. That was what brought up the #MeToo movement in the US.
Yes.
To encourage women, because the worst that can happen, it's almost like double jeopardy, Victor.
Yeah.
If a woman is sexually harassed, and then you also victim blame the person. Because what Itagiwa was trying to do is what is called victim blaming. Okay, now, once you get to the level of as a senator, as a woman, you can.
Let me read this real quick. The phone lines have been buzzing. Well, according to Senator Florence Itagiwa, a former senator, she says the sexual harassment allegations leveled against the president of the Nigerian Senate by Senator Natasha Akpoti is a sign of weakness. That was exactly what she said. And then let me go on to say, let me quote her exactly. She says, by the time you contest election and get to the Senate, you have passed that stage of your life where you can be sexually harassed. You go there to serve, and you are all equal in that place. And again, it shows weakness. You don't allow it. It cannot happen in the Senate. I'm not saying if you come out and say someone is sexually harassing you, you're only showing signs of weakness. On this matter, I'm not with Senator Akpoti. It is a worse sign of weakness on a woman's part to come out and accuse a man of making passes at her at that level.
What level?
What level?
Now, this is the question of me. I think it would be nice to probe Senator Itagiwa further on this issue. Maybe she has a different definition of sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment.
It's possible.
Maybe.
Because when you say,
this is someone that had always been at the forefront of women involvement in politics.
So maybe our own definition of sexual harassment is completely different from what we know.
Maybe when actual rape happens.
That's what I'm saying. It would be nice to probe our mind to say, madam, what do you consider to be sexual harassment? At what point would you say this is sexual harassment?
So we're already getting, some sort of reactions from Facebook. Someone is saying that we are being one-sided.
And what?
That we didn't play the other sound bites of President.
A lot of people misinterpret his
big emails, anything big about what the president said, we play it.
Well, talking on Facebook, you have loads of what a session we've had on the show today. Or in case you're tuning in for the first time, it is midweek politics, and we get to do this once a week, 120-minute of straight conversation of schools in some selected northern states in Nigeria: Kebbi, Katsina, Sokoto, Bauchi, and Kano. Well, those are the states that I've said to close down from primary to secondary to tertiary institution for the period of the faithfuls. We're thinking that the only beneficiaries, the Christians, also can also do that. But of course, we also looked at the return of the removed Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, now Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, to the House, and of course, Nigerian Senate distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, the former governor of Akwai State and former Ministry of Niger Delta minister. Well, an official petition was submitted on the floor of the House today by Senator Natasha Akpoti. By the way, she sat on her new seat, sitting in the House.
And then the political realignment.
Because Senator Ned Nwoko from Delta left the PDP to join the APC, so there is that realignment. And with the sitting of the House, I've also been privileged to witness the Senate seat, although that was the era where senators still throw chairs and now everything is now digitalized. You sit according to hierarchy. The principal officers have the front floor, then the returning senators and chairman of statutory committees on the floor of the House, then the other senators. Well, I don't know, but let's hope that the next couple of days will throw more light on whatever it is that is going on between Senator Godswill Akpabio and Senator Natasha Akpoti. An official petition has been submitted on the floor of the Senate today. We keep our fingers crossed. Now let's have you join the conversation at 0913-600-0410. And of course, Victor will take all of the messages that we have on Facebook. I will also read some of the messages that we have in our DMs here, but Victor will take us through Facebook. Prince Ojo from Alaba says, on the accusation of attempted adultery. This one is different too. Well, he says, now from antecedent, the woman in question is too. Don't say that. I don't say that. Prince from Ojo Alaba, that's not the gentle way to address a woman. Well, good day to you, gentlemen of the press. I'm Don Peter from Osaka, Japan. It is already night over here, and I can't do without listening to you guys on happening around Nigeria. Nice job always. But my case today with Side Forward, Mr. Kwame and Victor. Let me ask Side Forward why he's not been reading my messages on Political Roundtable for 3 months. I'm here now, and I'm listening to the response. Side Forward.
For 3 months,
that's a strong allegation against you.
Does he send it to Facebook or YouTube?
I'm sure he will respond. He's listening. Well, Kaude from Ikoton says, I really appreciate everyone in the studio. With the situation report on the removal and reinstatement of political officers, especially in the Lagos State House of Assembly. Well, you guys have your point, a political setup, okay? More messages to be read here. My lovely guys in the studio. Mr. Fuad, what is the difference between you and Professor Akintola? I mean, all of you guys in the media of being selective when it comes to issues that concerns the Muslim. I don't support Khan going to support such an obsolete idea in the 21st century. Is laughable. God bless you, Said Fuad, for your analysis. And for me, it is not about the Christian or Muslim. There others non-bara and finish his tenure. Wike should not always have his way. That is James Ogbona from Oshodi. Okay, thank you very much, James. Okay, this one says, my name is hello, sirs. My name is John. I'm sending you this message from the airport road. There without power and crying and sobbing will never solve a problem. Okay, thank you very much. Watch out for shades. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Saifwan.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Some people who said the reason why Obasa was removed was because he had the intention of being governor in 2027. They are the ones calling, saying this same Obasa is the one to be used for that. They accused Reno Mokri that he sexually harassed him at Aso Rock. When that man now posted the date, he said he was.
Reno was not even in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, you have to bring down all the polls. Show me Nicola harass every now and then. I didn't say Senator Akpabio is right to, but let's just be objective in this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Laiwola. Let's pick up our call 0913-600-0410. Welcome to Mainland FM.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Your name and where you calling from?
This is Kenny from Michigan.
Okay, Mr. Kenny.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. You're welcome.
Good afternoon. The issue of Bata, I want to say, look at it.
Mr. Kenny, can you try to adjust your location a bit so that we can get you clearly?
Yeah, number one. Yeah, I need to confirm. When you confirm the house, when the protected in the was okay, that's another thing. We know that the responsibility of the speaker, only the speaker, no balance. I mean, the governor and speaker cannot come from the same
senatorial zone.
That is that.
Oh, apologies. I would appreciate if you can still call back. Well, Don Peter had responded aside for it, and he says, I follow you guys on Facebook, and I also follow you guys on Radio Garden. I sent my message through WhatsApp platform, very specific. Okay, and this one is spy. When exactly are we going to grow? This is sad. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey,
good to have you join us.
I agree to you.
Good afternoon.
And Victor, I told Okpayemi yesterday, say, if you let me to ask you, why the Russian president usually say that it is ready to make appeal. Immediately Donald Trump declared the win of the United States. So please, just what is this fearing of Donald Trump? So maybe before you land up, please, I'll need your answer for that.
Okay.
For the issue at Sana, the issue of Lagos State, there's nothing to write about it. So you waste too much time to balance. You will say, but at the end of the day, you will say, let us work with everything that are doing now. But the issue of Akpabio, the time for Akpabio to take in power, the Senate president, because he's coming closer day by day. That's my thing.
Thank you very much, Ufoma. Let me pick a couple of more calls, and then Victor would also go on Facebook and read some of your comments. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
You're welcome.
My name is Emmanuel, calling from Ogusi.
That's Mr. Emmanuel from Songota. Good to have you on the show today.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to, on this issue of Natasha, I want to advise her to trust us on this particular case. Because she has gone to court and won the other part of the case that the thing should not prove her. The attorney may decide to go to appeal court and Supreme Court, and who owns the Supreme Court? You know who owns the Supreme Court. And Akpabio is Tinubu's boy. The Supreme Court can say to go ahead and prove her. Then on the president she has committed, the committee, the ethics committee can say there's no enough evidence. That's normal language of the court. They say there's no enough evidence. You go to court, at the end we go to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will say there's no enough evidence. At the end, we think.
Very much, Mr. Iman from Songota. One more call. Victor would help us out with Facebook. Let me talk to Mr. John.
Good afternoon.
Beautiful afternoon to you. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Mɪᴅ-ᴡᴇᴇ.
Okay.
I don't miss your program every day.
Thank you.
I want to talk about two issues. I'm a commercial driver. The issue that driver doesn't want to bring their price down is not totally true. Those drivers who doesn't or who will fall into that category are those drivers that load from garage to garage. They have a fixed price. And this fixed price is being driven by the NREC. But we that don't have garage to garage, like for instance, from Ogudu, instead of 500 naira, we take 400. There's a man that was going to my two today. Instead of 1,000, I asked him to pay 800. The man almost because of change. I have to choose patient so that because I'm helping him out. Other people will not put that as my advantage. So actually to my two is 500, but carry 400, they carry 300 because there's no passenger. What will really bring the price down is no matter of, even though the fuel comes down to 300 naira or 200, the price of transportation might not come down. The reason, thank you very much, is being driven by dollar exchange. all the parts of the vehicle we are buying is driven by dollar exchange. The time we used to buy 6,000, 6,000 because we are buying 20,000 to 5,000. The tire that I'm buying in my vehicle, instead of a light truck, which is more durable for carrying passengers, I'm buying car tire because I don't have the money. The car tire is 25,000. That is selling me. What to buy light truck is 45,000. So all the parts we buy
are also going up.
It's driven by the dollar. Except the dollar fall.
Thank you very much. I like that perspective. That was brought into the conversation. But I'm sure maybe it's one step at a time. Things would certainly sort itself out. Okay.
It's a gradual process.
Let me pick one more call, and Victor will lead us to Facebook. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Any opponent, any defense, we hear them. Thank you very much for your analysis that has been top notch.
Thank you.
I want to pick out my point from the area of Supreme Court and the judgment and decision. Now, sometimes they make decisions that will lead to so many crises. They wouldn't even think about the outcome of their decision. All this, though, primates to the issue of corrupt. Then the institution will, call you to order. Whatever you want to do, that institution will do what will put things right. But here, we have individuals that state how they foisted the governors of the Imo State that gave birth to this issue of unknown gunmen and all this, police free that engulf the entire South and East. Yes, and they believe the only way to stop them is to stop over.
Okay, Victor, we've got loads of messages on Facebook.
Okay.
Let me quickly pick this call.
Okay.
Apologies, Victor. Victor. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
You're welcome.
Yeah, quickly, Natasha Akpoti, Senator, she has, earlier before now, she's put the card before the horse. I expected that the first thing she would have done was to submit a petition to the Senate with her evidence. But rather than do that, she sought public opinion. She went to the court of public opinion to hear her views and kind of set up a narrative that she was willing to push. And I always need to ask, this same SP, the Fabio, was the person who gave you this same article, this man gave you. When you were traveling to Zurich, traveling all over, this was the same man you went with, going for training and all of that. This was the same man with. And it's been your political friend and all of that. Now, suddenly, when Kira passed between two of you now, it's now issue of saying that...
become young pepper scatter.
Yes, and it's quite unfortunate because what you are doing is that you are trivializing issues concerning women. Sexual harassment is not a trivial matter. Don't trivialize it. Because when people come out to complain, we need to trust them and believe that the system will do something about it. But somebody holding this kind of position, playing this kind of politics, is totally unacceptable, and I don't like it. For the school issue, as I said yesterday, where I was trying to explain, that I feel that what they are doing basically is to take the break period, which is after schooling time, you have a break of 4 or 5 weeks, and use break for the term. And when that is achieved, it doesn't really change the calendar. Once it's backed by law and all of that, I don't feel there should be any issue. And those feeling that the other faith, probably Christians and co, how do they bring in when it comes to Lent and all of that? They must also equally understand that colonial masters that took over us and colonized us ran the Gregorian calendar.
Thank you.
And that in one way or the other favors Christians.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lakuli. Side forward, very quickly.
Anyways, no matter the relationship that has existed between Natasha and the Senate President, if she feels that she was sexually harassed, she still has a right to complain. So if they have gone to anywhere, for me, there's no triviality in the issue. Because, if she had gotten favor, does that automatically give the opportunity or give the right?
It's sexual harassment.
It's sexual harassment. It's sexual harassment. And I will never stand anywhere that, or go on the opinion that gives, this opportunity for anybody to shame or blame the victim. Look, what we are saying is that when women come out to complain about these things, let them talk. The investigation can happen. Luckily, Akpabio is not an ordinary Nigerian. He can always defend himself. The Mɪᴅ-ᴡᴇᴇ thing, Mɪᴅ-ᴡᴇᴇ was able to quickly shut it down when he gave evidence that I was not even in the country. For whatever reason, Natasha did. But for this, what we are saying is that, look, any attempt to shut Natasha down sends the wrong message to other women who may be facing the same thing. Or we're not saying that Akpabio is guilty. We have not just said he's guilty. He should be investigated. And if there are no evidence to it, whatever punishment that should go to Natasha for false allegations should be done. But what we are saying is that, look, the fact that she has enjoyed some privileges don't mean she does not have a right to talk if she feels she was specially harassed.
Victor, take us to Facebook. But before then, this one says Yusuf Ramadan. I keep taking you off it. It says this midweek politics program is top-notch amongst all investigative and objective program that we've been listening to, and it's also succinct and even beating in layman times a sister station running similar program. Kudos to you guys. I'm Yusuf Ramadan Mubarak. Okay. Victor.
James Chukwubu came is saying that what beats my imagination was seeing the chief whip crying more than the bereaved, to the point of dragging Natasha's private life to the public space. Now, can the chief whip also tell us how many women produce children for our presidents and other government officers? James, that's your own message.
No, these are personal lives of people. So, honestly, I was really surprised when the deputy chief whip talked about the fact that she has 6 children with 6
legal in Nigeria. It doesn't take away the right of a woman.
And for the guy asking about it, even if the president has 10 children with 10 different women,
what has that got to do with the issue?
I don't even want to go biblical with it, because even at some point there was a situation between a woman and, of course, it's
a choice now. So
let's leave that one there. Atonda Kayode Samuel is saying that there are two petitions in the Senate now. Initially, there was a parliamentary breaches by Senator Natasha, and now the official petition from Natasha. Thank you very much for that, Atonda. Atonda was corroborating the message that was sent by the other young man the other time, where he said that we're being one-sided, and he says, I really appreciate your view, brother. Thank you very much. Darlington Ogbo is saying, good afternoon, my goddamn Twale, Boboy Leo. I think that's Yoruba. Okay, he says, Nigerian are comedy 101. If you understand Nigeria, you need enter heaven straight without any judgment from God. If this is the kind of country we want, then let's keep playing. Darlington from Okokomaiko, and he went for that to talk about the cap. See, the cap is okay. He said, Victor, your cap is capping. I like you for what, Said. I beg that your native go fit me. Thank you very much. Anyway, Steve Offer here is saying that the most illogical and senseless comment I have ever heard on a matter like sexual harassment is the one from Itagiwa. Someone should have advised her that it is not compulsory to comment on every issue. If she had nothing reasonable to say, she should have. First time listening to your show, and it's been an enjoyable and robust discussion so far. Family. Thank you very much, Nick Joseph AGK. And then he also said that the issue in Rivers State is the reason why physical and chemical science will always have my respect over law. As clear as it is that if you leave your political platform to another one, you lose your seat. There is an affidavit to that effect, as I understand, but they are still part of the PDP. Make it make sense. Anthony Ariani says, wow, I am happy to always listen to your analysis every day. You guys gladden my heart with your balanced and unbiased analysis. God bless you guys. Thank you very much, Anthony Ariani. And I'll take this last one, and then I'll leave the baton for Bayami to go on some more text messages or maybe the call. Kabiru Adegbenro says, I greet you, Mr. Bayami Oga Victor and Mr. Fuad. Well done, Senator. He said, well done. Senator Akpabio and Senator Natasha issue is a show of shame between them. They were elected to the Senate to make quality laws that will work for Nigerians, but they are there doing what is not relevant. God bless my country, Nigeria.
Okay, John Bernardo, he says, I was a vice principal as a core member in Tᴜnū local government
That's
area
in the north.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a big post.
And they are the ones shutting down. And to Mr. Lọ́kùnrin that was talking about maybe was he trying to rationalize some of these things.
Side forward.
Yes.
Mid-term break. Most
One person-
concluded like last week or 2
Unless
weeks back.
there's a different calendar for the north. You understand? And there's no break that extends that. Or something
That
5
lasts for
weeks.
1 month.
5 weeks.
It used to be 2 days. Now
That's
it's
almost an
2. It's
entire
not a
academic
week.
calendar.
Unless-
That's like second term.
Once again,
Terms runs for 3 months.
but I'm going for
4
having
months
5 weeks off.
and 5 weeks.
What
in
kind of
out
break
it.
is that? So you see, the reality is that look, we know these things. These things are on the conspiracy when it comes to religion and the political class, how they collaborate to deceive the people.
Okay,
I think
this
the
is-
responsibility lies on those who have benefited from education. Like I mentioned some of those
Exactly,
things. They just need to take these
exactly,
things back
Victor.
to these people. We benefited from
You
it.
close school because of Ramadan. How does that make any
Tony
sense?
Swap
What are
from
you doing?
Oshodi says, I take an exception to the man that said the issue of Akpabio and Atacha Akpoti is another distraction. Akpabio is a president in waiting, if you know what that means. An issue of sexual harassment allegation against him shouldn't be taken with levity. This isn't the first time somebody is accusing him of such. Let us take this country very, very serious. James Chukwuemeka says, good afternoon, wise men in the studio. The unfolding drama in Lagos State Assembly is not surprising one bit. Okay, this is what you continue to get, where you have strong individuals that are stronger than institutions. Until we grow over the Baba Sowikpe, it will be business as usual. You can see the entire character we have in the National Assembly. What a problem. Okay, we'll have to leave Facebook right now. Let's quickly see if we can squeeze in one more call before we call it a day on the show. Okay, from Solomon at Okpanachi Achogba says, I'm Solomon from Ikeja. Seem to be losing integrity since the Imo situation. Okay, I won't use that word. I won't use that word. Okay, side forward. Petition is now official. And then Godzilla Akpabio, should he step aside while the investigation continues? Or you think he has the right to continue to be on that seat?
Well, the ethics committee will now officially receive that petition and start to, investigate. But I think that presiding over reports of the committee will be an aberration. So what it means is that anytime the committee is to bring their report on that,
president should not preside
over it. It's not going to look good really for him to preside over a case that involves him. Deputy Senate President can always do that. But again, I was hoping that these guys would have been able to really resolve this issue, that we don't have gotten into this. But again, we must always encourage our women to speak out whenever they are sexually harassed. We must never blame the victim. That's double jeopardy.
Olajide Peter Dada says, gentlemen of high esteem, agree to respectively. On the issue of closing down school in another state, it's just a way of enslaving the youth and poverty weaponization. During my NYSC in Jos in 2014, I served in one of the high institutions as a lecturer. Olajide Peter, 2014, what batch were you? I was batch A 2014 in the same Jos. So probably we met at the Jakarta NYSC orientation camp. It's crystal clear that the worst of us are leading the best of us. May God help this country. Victor, another Wednesday, enough said. Now, your representative, your former governor, I want the hot seat.
I wanted to add this. I remember very well in this country where a certain religious leader had to willingly step down when he was also accused of sexual harassment. And the heavens didn't fall. So if we're saying this is the best thing that can happen to our law, to our constitution, to our before, these are drama to entertain you people.
And Akpabio can do the big thing really for the sake of the Senate. You can decide to step aside until the investigation is concluded, reports are submitted,
and if you're indicted, you have
go.
to face it. Okay, Nneka Joseph Ejike says, in all of these Akpabio and Natasha issue, the 2025 appropriation bill has been signed into law, so it's not an act. We have been distracted, and the business of lawmaking and oversight has taken a back.
Without the issue, what would have happened? What would you have done?
We have stopped.
You still have signed the budget now, so it's not as if we didn't know that the budget was He was going to scale through, whether I'm Natasha or no Natasha.
Thank you so much, guys. Said, Fuad, and Victor for coming through. Mainland FM is celebrating our women, and this is the International Women's Day week. It's actually coming up on Saturday, and we've got quite a lot of things lined up for you. Like I said yesterday, you can go on our social media platforms, on Instagram, on Facebook.com as well, and drop the post or the picture and the comments you want to have in respect of the support of the women in your life. It could be your mother, it could be your sister, it could be your aunt. Just drop it there. We'll certainly put you on our story for 24 hours. We're celebrating a woman, and the theme for this year is accelerate action. We hope that things would align. Next up is the boss. It's Request Wednesday from the beautiful BB, and of course Jaydan, the good guy with the bad intentions, and Sage Babalola will come up here on Situation Room by 4 p.m. Every program continues. I will also come back by 6 to take you to the world of sport. What a masterpiece of performance yesterday from Arsenal away from home. 7 goals to 1. We'll talk about all of that by 6 p.m. Victor, get out of my show.